Let's get in here. Power rankings have this actually fairly close together, 69 to 77, 69 nice. I think that is fair in general. I think in TVT, Ryung as a whole is, if not favored against Cure, I'd say certainly at the same level. Ryung's TVT is insane, especially if he's able to get it into that late game. But we're gonna have to see if he's able to do so because neighbor rights for DBG's Cure in the bottom left in the red for Team GP, Ryung. Man, we have TGP and DPG all together, and I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with this information, but do know that it exists. Hey, Gref, there are no cannons here today. What are you doing? It looks like Cure, we talked, or I mentioned briefly about how good Ryung is in the late game. He is not quite Maru because he's not as good as getting there, but if he gets there, certainly in the non-versus Zerg matchup and non-TVZ, he's very good. So, Cure says, yeah, I'm just not going to let you get there. You know, the tale is old as time. People complained about how Imba Protoss was in the late game, and the response was, well, yeah, just don't let him get there. You know, at times when mech was broken, and I'm still going to argue, because I can't beat mech, I'm going to argue that it's broken, even if it's not. Times when mech was broken, it was just don't let him get there, which is harder said than done. But Cure certainly in this TVT is going to do his darndest to make that happen. It's going to be 2 Rax Reaper to start out from Cure, and this is not necessarily a build that is intended to go and win. Like, it's not a build that is you expect to go end the game. But it is a build that you expect to get game-ending damage done. And motorcycle just went by. And by what I mean by that is you're trying to get enough workers and get enough army damage done that even if the game is not over, you're actually going to do a pretty good job of, well, finding something. But it looks like actually 1 Reaper already went down here for Cure. Good mass repair from Ryung as well. Excellent crisis management from the man. And of course, the big deal is you got to keep the bunker up. That really is the big deal. Bunker goes up, you get Hellions. Hellions really do put an end to this rush. But so long as the Reapers are going to be able to delay this, knock off SCVs, this is the salient points that Ryung is looking to hit. Or that Cure is looking to hit. But Ryung is going to be able to keep it alive. More and more Marines are on the way. And with 3 Reapers here, sure, yeah, it's scary. But a Hellion's halfway there. You get the Hellion out, you get 2 Hellions, then you maybe drop a Tech Lab, start moving on to Cyclone. Maybe even you drop the Tech Lab off the barracks once you have enough cycle or have enough Hellions, and then once it's Hellion Cyclone, I mean that it really is kind of the end of it. So for now, Ryung is going to hold the high ground. He's got a couple Marines, got a Reaper, got Hellions, and this rush is mostly over for Cure. He has delayed the command center by just a little bit. Hey, Hybrid Swarmy, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. As now Hellions are going to dive in looking for something, or the Reapers, excuse me, are going to dive in looking for something. And we do notice, of course, that this is 5 Reapers, which is normally you would get 6. All right. Oh, nice bounce there on the grenade. Kills off a Reaper of Ryung's. Normally you would get 6 because 6 one-shot Marines, they one-shot SCVs. And actually, I thought Cure had lost a Reaper, but apparently he had not. So he's going to be content with the 5, and it looks like he did get a 6th, but it is now dead as it jumps up on the high ground. So from that perspective, well, Ryung is very happy about how things are going. His command center on the way on the low ground. And of course, with Waterfall, yeah, you know, it's really hard to take a 3rd. Getting down that, or getting sieged up on the natural ramp is a really painful thing. But as we will see, Ryung actually getting supply blocked. Reapers, you don't think of them as doing a lot of damage to buildings, but when you have 5 or 6 of them, they can do something. So the barracks will go down. I mean, that's fine. Both players' command centers going up a base. Cure, he's up 1 worker. He has technically roughly equivalent army supply, but when we consider that 6 of that is in Reapers, it's really not even close. That being said, if Ryung chooses to move out on the map, Cure is going to be looking for that. He's trying to make sure he keeps it ideally right now at least 3 Hellions, 3 Reapers alive. Anything more than that, because he's not at 6, doesn't really make much big of a difference. But he's trying to keep at least 3 Reapers alive to have a shot maybe in the mid game to go dive on top of things, dive into a mineral line, maybe get a couple workers, get an extra scout. So for now, he's going to go back home. The game does continue. Ryung has survived the scary point. He's getting into his Ravens faster. Because he did, of course, not spend however much gas on all the Reapers. So, certainly he does have that tech advantage. He has the Cyclones. I believe his opponent does have a Cyclone, but he's into Reapers faster. He's into his command center fast. Roughly a similar time, but really it is the tech that is the kind of the line of demarcation here. His second tank already is on the way. The question, though, because this is a small map, is who decides to put pressure on? Third base now going up from both sides. Hey, Vespasian. Thank you for Daddy Bezos bucks. 3 months in a row, or 3 months in a row, actually. Thank you so much for the. Interesting. It didn't say. I guess you have the choice, right, when you do that notification of how many, how long it's been subbed in total. But you have a founder badge, which means you've been around since 2020. All right, so now we're going to have our third base. Third base are going to be flying out at the very least. But really, I've been talking about this a little bit. Yeah, you already have my unconditional of... No, Vespasian, it's conditional. So long as you continue to subscribe to me, I will love you. If you fail to subscribe, the love is rescinded. It's a very transactional in nature. That's how the modern world works, of course. And more and more barracks on the way from both sides. Third base getting taken by Cure. Ryung is not quite there just yet. His orbital not quite done, so he's going to be taking that soon enough. But by taking this third base, or even by positioning himself to take this third base, you run into some interesting positions on Waterfall. That spot I was talking about between kind of the natural and the third is a really scary sieged up position that it's kind of hard to move into. There's a nice position you can siege up towards the middle of the map. You can look to put pressure on. And it should be noted that on this map, Special in particular has been going for a 2-port style, where he goes 2-port reacted Vikings. And it seems rather successful unless his opponent does it as well. But the reason I bring it up is because that seems to have been becoming more and more of a meta, more and more of the meta on Waterfall and TVT. But neither Ryung or Cure have decided to go for that. Which, hey, I mean, these are... Ryung is just the master of getting to late game and winning with positioning and not even multitasking, just winning with positioning and game knowledge, where he doesn't necessarily win in terms of just sheer speed and mechanics. Because Ryung is, of course, a fast player. If you're a pro, you're a fast player in comparison to many pros. I mean, we can see this in his TVZ. It's just not there. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen. His Hellions are on the map. At this point, you got the Hellions defensively. You got them to make sure that you survive the Reapers. And now you're kind of done with that. So the trick now is to run onto the map and... well, the physics of a Reaper popping. It's really fun, Ogre Fade, when we get it on a water map, and then you see the Reaper just kind of explode and the parts go up into the water. Oh, look at this, though. Ryung's going to find... I think he got a couple Vikings there, but now he does have to retreat on backwards. 1-1 not done for both sides. It looks like it's going to finish just a little bit before Ryung's is. So Cure's going to have that pushing opportunity. Yes, normal man. This map is rather small. It's funny, when I first looked at this, I was kind of, when we got the new map pool, I was trying to figure out how I felt about things. And it really did feel like, okay, Waterfall is probably going to be the best map for Zerg. It seems like it's the most wide open for the middle. And then I've seen games played on it. I've played games on it, and it's just like, no. This map is so short. It's It's not quite. It's like an oxide. I'm not going to say it's like a submarine, but it's like an oxide that is a lot prettier to look at. Anyways, now Ryung on the right side again. This is a game where, while the map is rather small, your third base is on a high ground position. We can talk about all we want about how scary wedging its way in between the natural and the third is, but if Ryung holds the high grounds with his tanks, it's really hard for Ryung to push in. So the game does continue on. 2-2 on the way for both sides. We do need to point out, of course, that Ryung's combat shields are much later. In fact, they're going to be finishing up in about 20 seconds. So he really can't take a bio-on-bio fight right now. But luckily enough for him right now, this game is not about the bio necessarily, or TVT in general is less about the Marines and Marine tank. It used to be you talk about these timings of, you know, oh, wow, it's 2-2 versus 1-1. And it's like, okay, well, one Terran pounced on that, the game ends. But because of how the economy scales nowadays, and because of how easier it is to expand, as the Bio's going to try to get on top of these Vikings, will even one go down? No, but they do get on top of a tank here. Ryung marginally out of position. Another tank will siege up, and he got a sentry tower, got two SCVs. But it's going to be fine. Look at Ryung's position. He understands what his opponent wants to do, so he already is repositioning onto the right side. Tanks sieging up even faster. Armor Shredder missiles are nice, but he's going to disable some tanks. Now the Bio looking to stim on forward, getting on top of these tanks. The Bio is now dead, but that is 7 tanks right there. You can't really get on top of that one. So the Vikings are dead. The Bio, they got to be very careful indeed. Meanwhile, Bio on the left side from Mercure as well. He's opened up a 30 supply lead effectively in the span of an instant. Look at that resource loss differential. 1,000 gas, 3,000 minerals, all of a sudden. And Cure wedging his way in on top of this fourth base, trying to find a position where multiple tanks can start to shell away. And I don't know that Ryung has the Viking count. I think he has lost the majority of that. So I don't know that he's really going to be able to contest this all that easily. I think he's got to go look for a surround, but it's really hard to do with how far away it is around the doodad. And just with how many tanks there are, even a surround with just a bunch of Marines doesn't do all that much. But notice Ryung, he is moving to 2 starports behind this. He says, yeah, I can repair this for a while. That's going to be okay. It's expensive, but I will be able to max out. I will be able to take a next fight. And he is going into his additional bio upgrades, which I think is interesting. Half the time we see Terran players, they go and they say, yeah, I'm not going to get 3-3. It's just not really worth it to me. I'm going to the late game, and my Viking upgrades, my... everything else matters a lot more than my bio upgrades. Oh, sorry, Bionic Giblet. I should just disable the bracket command right now. But I intentionally don't have the bracket up because this happened this morning, and any sort of bracket command will give a spoiler. So if you want to look it up, just go to Liquipedia, pull up WTL. I am somewhat surprised to see Ryung not setting up for a surround here, but I guess what his calculus says, he's kind of worried about reinforcements coming in. It looks like he's got drop north side, but it's not all that much. He's going to find an SCV. He says, okay, I know you're expanding here, but eventually you got to figure Ryung wants to break this one down. I don't know. There we go. The Vikings are going to land on top of the tanks, and they do so much damage anti-mech. So just more tanks go down, but now actually Ryung's going to be able to take the air lead here. Yeah, he lost the tanks. But I believe he has superior Viking numbers now, certainly as his extra starports finish up. So now the vision for your Cure is not nearly as nice as it would be. So the Vikings here taking the positive trade. Ravens go in, dropping auto turrets, but Bio's going to drop on top of all of these tanks. Is there enough, though? It doesn't look like it really is. And the auto turret on the ground is just adding so much DPS. So Cure wins the air fight. Ryung is not able to knock these tanks down. He gets a couple of them. It's only 5 tanks. It's not 7. Yeah, Ryung, in general, DPG should dominate this series, but Ryung versus Cure was the matchup I kind of looked at. I'm like, you know what? I'm a big Cure fan. Apparently, Cure is Ryung is Scarlet's favorite Korean player. And I'm not going to say Ryung is my favorite Korean player because Hero is captured my imagination recently. But Ryung is certainly up there as now. Here we go. Siege up. Ryung, what he's doing right now is he's sectioning off the tank siege that he is dealing with from the rest of Cure's army. He says, well, you know what? I just don't want you to reinforce, which will allow him to theoretically eventually break this, but armor shredder missiles and superior vision with the Ravens, with the Vikings, make it really hard anyways, and Cure still has another route that he can take through the south side. But Ryung, again, he's maxed on out. I'd love to see resources lost again because it was heavily in favor of Cure earlier, and I don't really think it's gotten all that much better. Certainly banks tell us one thing, but the gas is roughly equivalent. And we do need to point out that while Cure is building more Ravens, the Corvid reactor is on the way for Ryung. So his Ravens will be better overall, as it looks like. Liberate Isle. I love this. Liberator on top of where the tanks are looking to shell off. So this base from Ryung is dead, but how much damage does it get in return? One base will fall for Cure, but Cure still has 5 bases behind that. So Ryung will maintain one base behind as these tanks continue to fall, drop on top of it. That one Liberator did such a good job of breaking down the position that Ryung had been able to just kind of slowly defend. Because you just drop a Liberator on top of the planetary, suddenly there's no repair possible, and really does not feel all that good. But it looks like there might be a weak spot that Ryung's going to try to take advantage of. Stimming now on top of things. He does have only 3-2. 3-3 now for Cure, but he gets on top of it anyways, and there's just not enough bio here. Tanks are sieging up. Tanks on the high ground. Actually, look at this. Ryung, he's got range, so he's going to be able to stim his way into what is the 4th base of Ryung, getting down one Raven, knocking a second one down. Auto turrets are doing what they can, but they're just going to fall anyways. Vikings falling as well, and now the reinforcements of Ryung through the middle of the map here. Yeah, it's been a chokehold for the last 10 minutes on Ryung's 4th base, but this is a lot more damage than Cure was ever able to get. Orbitals are going down, SCVs are going to go down, Ravens are falling here, and this is just a disaster for Cure. Suddenly the supply lead is massively in favor of the GP Terran, a DPG. Their Terran ace is just not able to accomplish what he wants, and because of the damage, I believe that other command center looks like it is, yeah, it's dead. The sieged up position that Cure had briefly, or not briefly, for a long time, it's now broken. Ryung is now the one up 20 workers. Ryung is now the one up a base. Actually, technically it is 4 bases to 4 for the moment. Although Ryung's going to try to take his 5th base once again. But now they're equal on bases. Now Ryung, his economy is vastly superior. And if we look at resources lost, my gut says it's going to be a whole hell of a lot closer. So now Ryung rotating right. This is a difficult position to attack into, but it's only 2 tanks, and the Ravens are just going to disable the hell out of him. There we go. No defensive utility there. On the other side, though, Cure looking for a break here. He just says, yeah, you only have tanks. There's nothing to really buffer for it. So Ryung losing a ton of tanks, but on the flip side, it's going to be another orbital going down, another planetary going down, but Ryung actually says, I can't take the time here. I'm going to leave some Marines to defend, but I got to get my tanks back home quick as you please, because Cure steamrolling through the middle of the map. Another orbital is dead, so I think it's only 3 for Cure right now. A command center will fall as now Ryung goes down low ground. He does have 3-3. This game is going to hell in a handbasket for both players early on. It's going to be another couple of orbitals falling for Ryung. And yeah, he's not losing SCVs necessarily, not yet, but losing orbitals does not feel great. What I'm looking, though, is that red blop in the middle of the map. Will it be able to go and knock all the tanks down? Disables 2 tanks are going to fall here from both sides. The mechanized spine of Cure's army does fall, but he has the high ground. He still has 3 tanks. And it's one thing to take a fight on the low ground. It's another one to move up on the high ground into a sieged up position when you just don't have the Raven count that you would like. So, Ryung, he's kind of lost this position, which means he will eventually lose the 9 o'clock base. But he also kind of has inside track through the middle. Oh, man, what a game. What a game we got here. Like, I'm not always the biggest TVT fan, but when it's Ryung playing, I will make an exception. Okay, Armor Shredder Missile is going to go down only on the Ravens. Trading, actually, that's a much bigger one. Cure, in fact, he brought the armor shredding on top of his army, so some Marines will fall as well. Tanks are looking to siege up, and really what you're looking for, you're looking to be able to knock down one of those tanks. Now the bio looks to stream in from both sides. Yeah, there we go, and good disables as well. Sneaky Ravens coming in from a weird angle, and now that sieged up position that Cure had, it's all gone. Once again, 30 army supply lead for Ryung. Auto turrets on the backside denying mining. But they are a temporary solution to a permanent problem that exists here, and that is the fact that, well, actually, I guess Ryung and Cure are both on 4 bases. I think Ryung has a fresher 3rd, though. But okay, through the middle map here again. Ryung trying to knock everything down. Tank gets an early siege to armor shredder missiles as well. It's really hard for the bio to fight, so they got to back up to the Aegis of their tanks, but coming in from every side is the army of Cure. Even still actually coming in from every side on both sides because Ryung has reinforcements as well, but he's going to have to land these Vikings. Disable on one tank, but there are a couple more here. Ravens are doing what they can. Vikings landing here as well, but here comes the rest of the Bio Cure. He's got nothing left in this game. Down now below 40 supply for a brief second, and yes, he's building 3 Ravens at a time. And Ravens are good against tanks. But I don't know that Cure can contest what Ryung has anymore. This has been a... Remember, Ryung was barely able to mine out of that 4th base for a good portion of this game. But he found the pseudo base tree that he was looking for. He's been able to retake his 3rd base, or really move his main on over. And now with the tanks here, with that +2, they shred the planetary. Cure doesn't even have the money to keep it alive to even start repairing. So what does he do? The same thing Ryung has been doing all game. He goes south side. He says, maybe I can find my way through the middle of the map. Maybe I can find some damage that you're not defending appropriately. But Ryung has his army over there. Now here comes the last push of the Team GP. Terran Ryung takes a really incredible, honestly. Excellent game number 1. But he has to 2-0, and then somehow Prince has to beat Rogue in a map. And then Ryung has to win the ace against Rogue, which I doubt. Or Cham pulls off miracles. All right. Ryung, yes. Fulio Dulio. Ryung truly is a TVT master. It's so cool to see. His TVT is, well, I became a big Ryung fan during Katowice, where for some reason, the B stream, we were just blessed by watching Ryung. I think we had something like 9 out of the 10 games. Well, not 8, like 8 out of the 10 games Ryung played at Katowice. So Steadfast and I rapidly moved from, wow, we're being unbiased casters, impartial casters, just cheering for good games, to Ryung is our hero. You know, this is just the dedicated Ryung show. So Ryung's got to be my second favorite player in career right now. I mean, hero is... number 1 because he means PvZ is fun now. But Ryung is a close second. Hey, Alex Dzia. Alex Gia. Fun fact, actually, when we look at the phonetic alphabet, which is just a combination of, it's a way to phonetically pronounce letters, right? So you hear the just sound, and in the phonetic alphabet, that is written as CJ hero, DPG hero, the current hero, Fulio Dulio, the hero that has been tearing up EPT cups and showing us a new way to play Protoss. But anyway, the DZ, or the J sound, is expressed in the phonetic alphabet as DZ. So Joseph, for example, because this is how I found this out. I had a friend whose name was Joseph and kind of looked this up. Is written in the phonetic alphabet is DZO, Joseph Zo. So Alex Gia was what I assume your name is the long and short of that one. And certainly not the Zerg player hero that is the Brood War Zerg. For what it's worth, Fulio Dulio. Ayo Deoyo. Hey, how's it going? By the way, folks, by way of fair warning, or Not fair warning, I guess, because it's just going to happen. This is going to be a bit of a marathon day for me today. We're doing this one, and immediately after WTL ends, we're going to be moving. I'm going to have to bring the stream down because TSL requires a 90-second delay. But immediately after this WTL cast ends, which should take about an hour, we're going to be moving directly into the TSL 9 North America server qualifiers, or regional qualifiers, excuse me. And then, after that happens, I can't imagine that takes us to 11 p.m. So I'm gonna grab some food. Probably gonna go and what get you? Why am I saying no? What are you saying no to? Oh, big names playing there in the NA quals. I'm assuming Scarlet, Astrea, Neeb. I haven't taken a look at the bracket yet. And, oh, look at this pressure coming in from Ryung. 5 Reaper, 3 Hellions. So just one production cycle greater than you normally would go. Let's see if he can make something happen, because Widowmine defense on the high ground. Oh, does he have a good split? He does. So one Hellion falls, but now here comes the necessary defense from Ryung, but the Reapers are doing such a damn fine job with Cyclone, though. Cyclone it's too much HP and too much damage to really be able to punch through. So Cure moves up. Cyclone gets out just in time. Here now has his second line of aggression. I imagine there's a Cyclone with this army. And if he can get a lock on Cyclone for Cyclone, Reapers dive. Oh, no, it's just another... Oh, it's extra Marines. Interesting. A TSL 9 North America qualifier. Let me pull up the bracket. It's in about an hour from now. Neeb has signed up. Trigger has signed up. Astrea signed up. No Scarlet, actually, but I know she's sick with COVID. I hope she can still try to qualify. All right, but now Reapers into the high ground here. Tank as well. Cure does not want this game to go into the late game like happened in game number 1. We saw how good Ryung was there. So third base is going to be probably, it's going to have to be forced to cancel here with the tank on the high ground. Reapers diving in. Not enough to one-shot SCVs, but he had a little bit extra DPS, and they certainly can, denying all the gas of Ryung. So that means less tanks. That means less Ravens. And now you're going to just drop Reapers on top of the tank. And sure, I mean, fine. I don't really think that does all that much for you, but there we go. Tank will get disabled. Ryung trying to break this right here, right now. But the tanks are unsieged. Good grenades, but actually it's going to allow the Cyclone to run forward on top of the medevac, on top of the tank. So Cyclone stays alive. Everything dies for Cure. Great hold there from Ryung. At the end of the day, big deal is his third base was delayed. Everything else was actually fairly... He only lost 5 SCVs. Really nice job there from Ryung. Yeah, Ponder. It looks like I've asked Scarlet, but it looks like for right now she's not signed up for the TSL North America qualifiers. Yeah, Ryung is just... I don't understand how his TVT and his TVP can be so damn good, while on the same page, his TVZ is so bad. But here comes Ryung trying to make something happen. One tank will get disabled, but not before getting a couple shots off. And the Marines, they're just falling down. This was not a well-reasoned attack from Ryung, and now I think he's going to get chased down by a lot of it. The tanks are, of course, unsieged, so at least they can fight a little bit better, but good lock-ons from the Cyclones and the Marines and the Ravens should be able to finish this. Well, it's only 2 Marines, so he's going to back up. I mean, Fulio Dulio, this is why Ryung has been a pro player since 2011. I looked the stat up. You know what? I have my notebook next to me. So while this game goes on, let me pull up my Katowice notes. Yeah, Ryung signed to Prime Gaming, which may not be what we remember. We think of him as a Slayer's boy. But he signed to Prime Gaming 4 months after the release of Rings of Liberty. So, anyway, Raven dropping auto turrets. Once again, a hug of death on the SCVs, which just means a couple more SCVs. Well, actually, I guess it's only 2, and, well, could have been worse. Yeah. Ponder, you talk about who you're rooting for. You should root for Trigger. Trigger almost qualified for Home Story Cup. He might actually. With assumingly 6 Koreans dropping out, maybe even more, there's a world where Trigger might get invited to Home Story Cup. Yes, Prime then Slayers Fulio Dulio, I believe. All right, I'm pulling that up. And look at this. Ryung is going mech. No, sorry. He joined in Prime October 13th of 2010. Then he left sometime in November 2010 to join Incredible Miracle, where he was there for about a month. And then he joined Slayers in December 2010 and stayed with them until 2012. Is TSL Quals only one spot for North America? No, I think it's 2 spots. Anyway, here comes the army of Cure trying to move on in. And remember, Cure had a really nice position like this last game that it just didn't quite work out for him in the end. This one's a lot better, though. He just breaks Ryung open like a tin of sardines. And now it's 1-1 GP DPG. Yeah, no, top 2 players qualify for TSL 9 from the North America regional qualifier, and then potentially a 3rd slot through the server qualifier, which is on the North American server, but open to anyone. All right, so now we're going to move into Cham versus Hero. Wait, what? Did I skip? I guess they ran Cham Hero before Rogue Prince. Okay. Yeah, so okay. Now into game number 1 of this second series, tied up 1 apiece, but it only gets harder for Team GP fans. Ryung had a reasonable shot to 2-0. At the very least, I expected him to take a map. But Cham taking a map off Hero right now with how Hero has I don't know, I don't think it's quite as high as it once was, because he did lose 3 maps to Dark. But Hero, his PVZ win rate, okay, it's not quite 90%, but his PVZ win rate in maps is about 85%. Before losing that series to Dark in the semifinals of Valencia, he had not lost a series to a Zerg since King of Battles in March. Yeah, I agree. Remember, Ponder, Trigger was at Valencia, and he looked good until he went on stage, and then we saw the very real outcome of players who've never played on stage before. Because he looked really good on all his, from his matches from the play area. The next day I was talking to Nina about this, and she was like, "Oh." She's like, "No, he can beat Beyond because he has beaten Beyond in EPT Cups." And then I mentioned that he was going to be, it was going to be on the main stage. He's like, no, he's going to get 3-0s. Because the experience of being on stage is something we don't talk about enough. That is true, Anakin Osmavi. And we got to remember there is 1 Korean, 1 European, and 1 North American server qualifier. It's not a regional qualifier, which is, of course, locked to North American players or European players or Korean players. Look at that, though. Cham gets a probe. Instead, it is locked to servers. So the default server for the NA server qualifier will be on North America, but anyone can, and it'll be for NA times. It'll be played at like 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern. But anyone from any server can go play on that. And I'm actually a big fan of that format where we do have these. I mean, yeah, sure, you got to have the region locked a little bit because that's how EBT works. And I don't think it can be argued that EBT was successful in fostering foreign StarCraft talent. I think it's also pretty fair to say that it did put another nail in the coffin on Korean talent. But it's also one of those arguments you got to make, right? When you say, well, hey, Matt Mazzola, thanks so much for the follow. And Water Sea Shine as the Adept finds his way in. Doesn't really get much, but good cancel there on the worker. But the argument also has to be made is you were going for Glaives in this game. Interesting. Is that if Korea could not sustain itself without pilfering the pockets of other regions, that's not really a sustainable environment. So I don't know. I do certainly think that region locking did allow for the Europeans in particular to go in and look and really start to grow. They gave us Cyril and they gave us Raynor and they gave us Clem and all this. So I don't think we can be too upset. I don't know what the answer is, especially now that Korea really does seem to be really, with losing a lot of top players to military, now does seem to be suffering. Yeah, Trigger is, I believe, 17. Hey, Water Seashine, thanks. I'm glad you enjoy my casting, such as it is. I'm hoping that I get down to Atlanta for DreamHack Atlanta. That's the goal. I'm only a quick plane ride away from New Hampshire down to Atlanta. But anyways, Glaives are just about done here. That 4:30 timing, the build that has, well, dominated a meta for a while before Zergs figured out how to deal with it. The question though is whether Cham is prepared, because the builds that Zergs have had to be going for now are a lot less primed to deal with this type of build. I guess is a way to say that. Is Roach Warren only just now getting started, which fair, he started at 4:30, but he does not have a lot. He built more drones. Cham, I understand that this is a less. I think actually this might even be 3-gate, not even 4. The robo's not done, certainly. So now we're gonna see the Adepts in the natural trying to knock down as many queens as much as they can. But getting queens is so impactful. One queen goes down, second queen. Yeah, just kill the queens here. That's all you want. 600 minerals worth of queens are gonna go down the drain if there's nothing to stop it. And now there's gonna be no transfuse, no inject, nothing to allow Cham to build back better. And that's really the problem. We talk about economic damage. We can talk about it until we're blue in the face, but you kill these queens and you kill these drones, but most importantly, you kill the queens. That is worth innumerable drones in this game. So yeah, transfuses have been used, but the queens, they're still damn low. Adepts are going to cancel their shades. Yes, just assassinate, commit regicide in this game, because yeah, the last transfuse has been used. The queens continue to fall. Roaches are now starting to pop on out, but realistically, I gotta feel like Hero has already got enough damage. I mean, he can get more, and he will get more eventually because he shades out right now. But he has already gotten more than enough. And behind this is third base up and mining. He's up 5 workers. He has a RoboBay on the way, 4 disruptors. And Cham's army is not really exciting. In fact, Hero pulls the trigger, says, yeah, I can fight these roaches. 2 roaches will fall. Here come more Adepts on the way. Hero with the consistent pressure. And again, remember, behind this, there's a RoboBay on the way. He's going to have disruptors. He's going to have the perfect army to deal with what Cham is building, but not efficiently and not fast, because again, the queens, 4 of them did go down. Adepts, they're just going to shade on top of this army because there's not enough here. Lings are falling. It's only 3 roaches. Adepts going to try to find their way in the mineral line once again. 2 workers fall for that one. And notice Warp Prism into the main base, which, by the way, which is where all the Depths have shaded, because they realize there is more value there. More Warpins happening. He doesn't even need the disruptors in this game, and it is all far too much for Cham at this point. He really, yeah, has got some roaches, but when the Adepts can fight the roaches, that is really a bad news. That is really bad news bears for the Zerg player. So roaches continue to fall. Queens will fall as well. I think that's the 6th dead queen this game. And the Adepts are just going to shade back on over to the third base, where, by the way, more Adepts have warped in because the Warp Prism is still active, still going strong. And yeah, I don't have much more to say about this one. Cham is dead. It's all over but the crying. And again, disruptors are on the way. Blink is on the way. There are layers to this onion, because Hero is playing like an ogre. Adept's actually running out of things to kill him. Third base, so they said, yeah, we'll kill the hatch. It's fine. Porphyrion. There we have it. GG. Hero takes game 1. Now putting DPG up 2-1 in the series. So game 1, we saw a depth pressure without even a robo just eviscerate Cham, take him out behind the alley and just suplex him. But now where do we go from here? Yeah, no, Hero is disgustingly good. Now, we do have to point out that Zerg openers have become a little bit less efficient at dealing with this adept timing because we actually started to see this happen towards the end of the Stargate meta, where Zerg openings were so optimized against dealing with Stargate play that it felt like adept play became a little bit more of a blind spot. And I feel like that has continued because the sheer strength of Swarm Toss style means that you have to cut corners. We've started to see tooling openers instead of 4 to get that extra drone to have economy snowball a little bit faster, things like that. And if you're trying to cut corners at 5 minutes, at 4 minutes and 30 seconds to make sure you can survive it at 6 or 7 minutes, well, a timing that hits at 5 minutes. Now, Ponder SC2, again, specifically when we're talking about these games, because I'm live and I'm in living color and I don't have a delay, these are always going to be WTL casts, at least the way, unless it's like WTL finals or something. For me, WTL casts are always going to be a lot more casual than if I'm like doing EPT cups. So yeah, talk about other stuff. I don't care. I'll chime in if I want. And that especially goes, and please talk about other random stuff. It gives me stuff to fill with when I do have a stream delay. An active chat, unless you're, I don't know, saying certain types of people aren't people. I think we can agree that Protoss players aren't people. But other than that, if you're, saying things that attack a certain group of people for something, probably that'll get you a ban. But at least a timeout. But otherwise, talk about whatever you want. I talk about a bunch of random stuff. But anyway, this is going to be much more standard build from Hero. You're watching an arcade auction. So, like, what were they selling? Are they auctioning off arcade cabinets? That's cool. Anyway, so we're seeing a much more standard build from Hero in Game 2 after the Adepts found a ton of value in Game 1. But there's a lot of game theory to go behind why Hero has done this, because now you have he's gonna get the Creep Tumor too, and Adepts actually they kill Creep Tumors better than Reapers do, so that's just obnoxious. And with the 2 Reapers, they're gonna try to find their way in. But at this point, there's enough Creepers. It should be okay for the most part. Enough Lings are here, but Adepts maybe they can find a spot. But yeah, just gonna back out as Oracle flies into the main base. But the question really is, how many Oracles does Hero get? The Western Protoss players have started playing a little bit more single Oracle style, quicker blink, delayed +1 still, but quicker blink. But Hero, he played that style a little bit. And then he's gone back to triple Oracle play. It seems like he thinks it's much more stable. And his Oracle control, by the way, I know we've talked about, say, Trap as having incredible Oracle control, and Zest and Classic, maybe historically Classic is Reapers. They're going to find a Queen. That's the dream. You don't want to sacrifice an Oracle for it, but he does. That being said, he's gotten a couple workers. He's going to get a couple more as 1 drone doesn't get pulled. So 4 total workers, a Queen. That warrants buying another Reaper or another Oracle. But anyway, Hero has been going the triple Oracle setup. It allows him to be a little bit more aggressive on the edge of creep, and it keeps his third base open a little bit further, at, of course, the expense of a slower blink, a slower +1. So it does technically open him up to DRG style, where DRG has been going for these massive 7-ish minute max outs. That's how he killed Showtime in the 4 games that he won in the 5 total games that they played. Very nice Ogre Fade. I've never really been super into arcades, but there's a barcade that is also a cidery near where my partner lives in Dallas, or not near, but in Dallas. That is close enough. And I mean, look at Heroes Oracle Micro. It's so good. But anyway, and that's a lot of fun to go to. Also, we do have to consider one thing that this hero style has started to do more and more is once he gets +1, once he gets blink, specifically, actually, I believe once he starts to get his second forge and starts to be able to put a lot of pressure on, he starts building oracles again. And we'll see him go up to 4, 5, maybe even 6 oracles, because it just gives so much pressure on the map. And if you're really not losing a lot, if your Oracle Micro or if your Stalker Micro is as good as Heroes is, you're actually going to be in a damn fine spot. So there we go. Well, it's a decent stasis trap, but it's better than nothing. Oh, that's a much better one, though. Are you saying I described it in the most tipster possible way? Or are you saying Ogre Fate did? Okay. Here comes some aggression from Cham. 4 queens in a dropper. Lord Roach is pushing as well. He does not want Hero to get in that comfortable position, but +1 is done now. Blink is done. Charge on the way. Again, another stasis. It's going to get the queen. It's going to get a lot more workers. So 5 total workers a queen. Cham is just shut down between, 30 and 50% of his mining in one base. So that's not all the greatest Stalkers warp in. And it feels like more often than not, these pressure builds that we see the Zergs go for, where it's like, I'm going to drop creep and it's going to be queens. It feels like with shield batteries and just with good blinks, the Protoss holds 95% of the time. So we're going to have to see whether Cham can do something different here. Queen's getting dropped on top of the shield battery overcharge, keeping the sentry alive, keeping that Guardian shield from doing so much of value. But now we're going to have the Roaches. They're going to get on top of the shield battery. But Hero is a confident man. He just blinks on top of everything, says, yeah, I don't care. I don't think you have enough here. And it looks like his math his calculus just barely was right. Now the queens are dead. The roaches are dead. Lings and roaches try streaming on in, but it's a long journey to travel. And now Cham's going to find himself, I believe, supply blocked as he loses those overlords. Actually, not quite. Well, no. He will. Okay. Cham is now supply blocked. Hero climbing ahead in supply. His 4th base is on the way. And that didn't work. Oh, yeah. That's fair. It's always funny watching when Hero does the game-ending blinks, because you're like, on one hand, it can work. And Hero has such incredible killer instinct. But on the other hand, sometimes he just goes for a donkey blink, and you're like, Hero, you just threw game 5 to go into the finals. By doing that. But anyway, Stalkers here on the bottom side on what is Cham's 3rd base. Probably going to have to get pulled to defend, but that's when the Zealots come in. And yeah, Zealots are maybe not all that great against the heavy Baneling styles we've seen, but as Zealots are used less, Banelings are used less, and certainly here now, I mean, Cham does not have enough. 2-0 for Hero, as expected. The man does not lose against Zergs. And I don't even know that we're going to see much of a ceremony. He says no. Okay. So we move into our last series of the day. It's going to be Rogue versus Prince. And this should be a rather quick one. Prince 58 points, by the way. Because we know Prince is going to do something crazy. And we can assume that Rogue is going to hold it pretty easily. Hero made me so sad in Valencia. And sorry, spoiler alert, but it's been a week. Well, I guess it's been 6 days. But Hero made me really sad in Valencia. That game 5 versus Dark, he was in a great spot. He was actually finding a lot of value, doing a great job abusing the map tactically, because I know he did say how he loved tactical maps, and he was doing a great job taking advantage of the fact that he could rotate between Dark's third, and Dark's main faster than Dark could. And then he just blinks into a bunch of Ling Hydra and a couple, I think there were 2 or 3 lurkers on the field. And it's like, here, that was a donkey blink. And then the lurkers killed him pretty soon thereafter. But I do say it was that blink, really, was what killed him. And then he just didn't transition fast enough out of it. I mean, it was great play from Dark, to be sure, and rather excellent. But look at this. Oh, we're going to see a proxy hatch coming down from Rogue. He's, in fact, going to be the one that's going to be a cheeky man. Unexpected. But, of course, this is a macro Nexus block. Where you go 3 hatch before pool. And maybe if Prince allows it to get up, I mean, sure, maybe there's room for something, but in general, not really going to be all that much. All right, so now Zealot is out, but with only 2 probes getting pulled, Prince will allow this hatchery will get up, assuming Rogue chooses to let it go up. I mean, no guarantee, of course, but if Rogue wants it, it's going to happen. And he won't get queens out of it, though, so I think he probably will cancel it here. The 6 lings you can get out of a hatch is not really going to be worth the larva. But Rogue, last second, he does cancel. Okay. Now the trick, saving Private Ryan, got to get the drone out of there. He's not going to be able to steal the gas because the gas is already there. But drone is dead, gets a good scout off, though. Says, okay, well, I see your gas timings. I see the twilight timings. I know what's happening. Rogue does find himself supply blocked temporarily at the ever so problematic 28 supply. Which is, by the way, that's not a normal spot to get supply blocked as a Zerg. Normally, it's the 30 Overlord that kills you. But anyway, Adept Glaives are going to be on the way. This may or may not be real, because the drone is still in the main base. And there we go. Okay, the Adept is going to, I would think, kill the drone. Is it? Please don't tell me this gets out. Oh, no. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, Prince. That is not okay. And I think the Adept should be able to chase it down, but oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. He doesn't chase it. The drone. Private Ryan saved. He's going to get back. And yeah, it's been, what a drone mines. How many minerals does a drone mine a minute? I forget. Was it like 55? All right, the Lings are going to find that pylon. What is a basic worker unit mine? Yeah, that's kind of 50-55 was what in my head, but I wanted to actually look it up and make sure. Anyway, Lings are going to find their way on over to the attempted third base of Prince, but I don't know if it's really going to be able to get all that much done. I thought I saw a Dark Shrine on the production tab for just a second, but I do not see it now. Again, the third base will fall down, and I mean, okay, a Zealot and Adept show up, but now there are a bunch more Lings. Now the Zealots and Adepts, they have exposed themselves in this game, illegally doing so, showing their backside. Now here come the Lings. They're going to be able to zone things off, but again, there's so much damage done on the Nexus that I think the Lings are going to be able to make, maybe force it down anyways. More and more Lings, more and more Roaches are on the way. So anyway, that drone, it cost effective, that hatch effectively cost 460 minerals, right? Because it's like, well, no, that's not true, because he canceled it. Regardless, the drone gets back having lost about 200 minerals, 150 minerals worth of mining time, 175 minerals worth of mining time. Is now again the Lings, they're going to find their way onto this Nexus once again. And actually, this is glorious here for Rogue, because as the pressure commences in earnest, the Nexus is done. Prince can no longer cancel it, so now there's just a free 450 minerals. He gets this around here once again. There's no shield battery. It is dead. And it would be far better for the Prince of Madness, Prince of Chaos, if he had just canceled it earlier. So for now, Rogue finds himself up a base. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Canceled hatch is 75, sent you, but also we consider I could spend too much time talking about the opportunity cost and everything else, but regardless, it's fine. Anyway, Ling's now they're sharking around, but there's a wall there. Yeah, battery goes up instantly this time. The trick that what you got to do is I feel like you almost have to drop pylon first. I mean, granted, not many Zergs will go for this aggression all that much, but you almost just have to drop the pylon first to make sure that you can get the shield battery up immediately after the Nexus, so you can get a 50 energy or 100 energy shield battery, not a 50 energy one. But Rogue is not going to allow this one to stay up. He has 57 army, 61 army supply to 16, and he is just massing up a bunch of roaches, more overlords on the way. This is not a macro build from Rogue. This is it's Smash Mouth Zerg. He's just gonna go and punch Prince in the mouth over and over again until he cries uncle. All right, looks like I didn't calculate things quite properly, so we're gonna be slightly late to TSLNA, but it's only gonna be the first round, so we should be okay. All right, but now here come the roaches, the lings, the ravagers, and one random changeling just to provide a little bit of vision. Now the lings are going to get us around on top of these blinkless stalkers, and Rogue bops him. Just like that. Rogue secures actually now. Yeah, secures the win for DPG, but he wants to go 2-0. See if he can be able to make that one happen. One more game. What does Prince have in store for us in... I know some people, I've heard some pros saying that honestly Moondance is not all that exciting, but in PvZ in particular, I've seen some really fun games where players, they go and they take the pocket base and they say, oh, well, this actually is only 2/3 of a base, so I need to expand again. They take a quick fourth base at the same time, and we just see this insane greed where both players are kind of playing this double blind of, I'm going to expand, so you got to expand, so I'm going to expand, so you got to expand. But Rogue, again, he's going full first in this game. And his drone's going on to the other side of the map. He's trying to pantomime like he was going to go and take his third. But actually, I think... No. Okay. There's not a... Is there a probe there? No, there's not. All right, so this is the 12 pool hash block. This is the one in the wall. This is the all-in version of what we saw in game number 1. Lings are already on the way. Prince is going to have to pull workers to defend. As we can see him talking to himself, he's not happy about things. I think there's a Shabal coming in there somewhere. And yeah, this map is pretty. Ogre Fate, I gotta say though, top 2 maps, it's Waterfall and it's Stargazers. By far the most beautiful 2 maps in this pool. It's like, oh man. Okay, there's the secondary wall coming down, and this is going to be one that will require a pylon, or will require cannons, because, well, actually, you can do it both ways. You can do a cannon, you can do it cybercore. But Prince, of course, he's the master of the pylon, or of the cannon, so he's going to make sure that that one happens. His Ling is chewing away, and the one probe is, yeah, it's dead. But the Lings are going to be able to get through this wall before the cannon's up, and that means they're going to be able to surround this cannon. Yeah, sure, one Zealot says a lot, but only so much here. So now Ling's looking for this round on top of things. A drone, or excuse me, probe trying to buffer. More and more probes are going to get pulled as more Lings firing their way in. And actually, it's going to be a canceled hatchery. I almost expected to see Rogue keep that one alive and just build Lings out of it, but he says, cannons. So he does force the workers off the line. He's not going to be able to get too much more done than this because these are all rather low Lings, and that's plenty of workers, but his natural and third base going up behind this. He's probing up pretty damn hard, and well, honestly, this is not the worst game for Prince. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. So where do we go from here? Ryung has these annoying set of 3 lings in the base that are going to look. Really, it's an APM test. If they are left undetected, unfettered, they will find value. But as long as Prince is aware of things, says the proper pull, he should be fine. So really, at this point, it's a scout. These lings are not really going to be able to get out all that easily because, of course, there's a pilot or there's a cannon at the front. But we got to point out, Cybercore only just now going down. As a Prince briefly killing off. Oh, Rogue gets a worker, but Prince briefly attacking his own gateway. But with the Cybercore only just now completing, yeah, he says nope, I can't do it. Lost too many workers. Tempo too bad. Ryung takes game number 2. That makes it a 5-1 for DBG, and just.